Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
I'm gonna start recording now because we sometimes we record. Dude, I feel like I'm cutting out. Or it might be
You're
my.
good on my end. You actually are fine on my end.
All right, then it's gonna be my headset for sure. They're giving out on me. They're old too, man.
No, it's
Come
not.
on, man.
What kind of mic you use?
The Shure MV7.
Ah.
It's like 2 years old. You know what, bro? I'm gonna tell you something, dude. I'm over here like right before we jumped on the mic, I was talking to some fucking idiot. I'm not gonna mention his name because it's not important. But what I am gonna mention is I'd rather get into a freaking debate with a black pill fucking conspiracy theorist rather than a fucking Mexican that doesn't even know that he lives in a sanctuary city, yet he has to beat up a freaking cop when the cops are trying to protect him from ICE taking them. Shut the front door. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Anyway, testicles. 1, 2, testicles. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Partner Radio Podcast. I am your humble host, Trebles Garcia, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing they can do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at partnerradio.com. Check out the affiliations and match. Shout out to Catalyst Jones on Red Pill Threads. Guys, they have an amazing collaboration of t-shirts and memes. Dead Petals cannot re-offend, so make sure you check them out. Red Pill Threads, and also Flavors of the Forest on partnerradio.com. Do not forget to check us out and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. That's it. No more promotion. Guys, guess what? I have an amazing episode lined up, and I'm very excited to drop this one because the second time I had this dude on, I was so intrigued in what he was saying, and it gave me so many, it just opened doors for me in order to do an amazing thumbnail. And his art is amazing, his podcast is amazing, so please allow me to jump in from the dip of the pool and set the fucking mood. Bringing back New York Patriot NY, Nick from the Occult Rejects podcast. Welcome back.
Well, yeah, thank you very much, sir. Always happy to be on. Appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, fucking awesome.
Good
Tell me a
talk.
little bit where
Yes.
people can find you. What's up with Occult Rejects? Where are you at?
The Occult Rejects. You can find us on BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube, all major podcasts. And we do have the Occult Research Institute.org. Check that out. Tons of interesting stuff on the occult and a bunch of different contributors too. A bunch of different other people on podcasts or blogs. Tons of information. Check it out.
I got a little lag here, so hopefully the Wi-Fi wizard gods freaking fix this.
We'll straighten it
They
out.
know we're about to shake the fucking foundation of their bullshit magic. Because today we're conversating with Nick regarding his findings, his research, his experiences in real magic, the occult. You blew me away last time that you were here, bro. I think you blew a lot of us away. I think the conversation was so deep that it blew so many people's heads and it went over their heads. So today we're gonna go do it all over again.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Dude, I have so many. So the last where we left off was I wanted to know mental and emotional concern. Does this after you go into your crossing the abyss situation and you start noticing the eyes, the pupils, the dilation, one of them gets bigger, one of them gets smaller, the back of the head, the out of body experience, do you come back to the same mental state? Do you become depressed? Does it cause havoc on your emotion stability? Talk to me, bro.
I do think, that is something that I have kind of stressed on before, that I think if you're actually, I wasn't probably the most either, but better than I had. My opinion, if you're not kind of a level-headed person, you probably may have issues coming back from a magical experience because, again, like I said, as crazy as it sounds, you will know stuff that you didn't know previously, and you may end up knowing things that maybe you didn't even want to know about. But I could say that, like, when you start having all these ideas and these flutterings and these things coming into your mind, it could get a little hectic. You might start having, like, ideas or theories about stuff that just seems too crazy for you to even be like, why am I even thinking this? Or why does this make sense? I do think, believe it or not, it can can fuck with your head after a prolonged use too, like abusing it. I've joked before. I think you can end up like Kanye West or Joe Biden if you fuck with magic too much. You'll just end up burnt the fuck out and you'll act crazy. Nobody will
You
understand
think?
what the shit you're saying.
Do
You
you
won't
think that's what
understand.
happened to Kanye?
I do think when he was fucking around that time wearing the mask and he had that little orange thing around that time, I do think, in my opinion, he was. And even maybe recently, because I'll tell you now, whenever I fucked with magic, I'm better off not even trying to have a conversation with anybody for a few days because it's going to be, especially texting. I should say texting, not talking. Texting because I'm not even going to be able to keep up with my own thoughts as I'm texting, and it's going to make fucking no sense and it's going to look silly.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. It kind of sounds like when he's talking. A lot of the times before now, as a conspiracy theorist, you're like, oh, okay, well, he makes sense now because of things are happening. But before he went off the wall, before the Adidas dropped him, he was going crazy on this anti-Semitic bullshit, right? And then you saw that he really went off the rail, and people were saying like, oh, it's the pharmaceuticals. Oh, it's this doctor pulling them back. Oh, it must be his witch wife, which we all know. I think she's a freaking witch.
Either that or he's, I don't know. He looks like, I hate to say it, it's almost like, is this some kind of MK Ultra like thing? Like, not for nothing, but it's a little weird. The guy's pimping his wife out practically naked in front of everybody. Like, is that
Control
a
freak.
humiliation? Not that I get into those too much, but is that a humiliation ritual in itself right there? It's freaking weird, man. Why
It
would you,
is fucking
why would
weird.
you put your girl out there like that?
He was overprotective of Kim Kardashian, if I remember correctly, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's just, dude's a weird dude.
Have you ever been attacked? Have you ever been attacked after?
Now when you ask that question, for me, I don't think I've ever been like attacked by like something ethereal, but like or like some kind of like spirit or whatever. But
Hmm.
I was wondering if you meant like psychic attacks or mentally, like a magical attacks, because I do think those things do exist. I do think magicians can, mentally fuck with each other if they want to.
Holy fuck. Talk to me about that. Have you?
It's almost kind of like trying to. I mean, in my opinion, I do believe it's happened before. Even other people from the occult rejects on certain topics that we have worked on and never covered, we thought that might have been a possibility. But yeah, you can psychically fuck with people to where it's like you almost kind of push them out to the abyss without them even knowing. And it's like the person will start to like, horrible fear, anxiety, to feel like they're losing their mind. I do think that's possible. I do think, as silly as it is, I do think I have been threatened magically, technically by an occultist. So I mean, or I believe I have. So they will do that.
I I shared a brief story that is gonna connect to what you said right now. I shared a brief story with shout outs to Top Lobster and Raven
Top loss.
from a Nephilim Death Squad, and I told them briefly about what happened when my mother was a child. So her grandmother, which is my great grandmother, she used to turn to a wild hog and murder the men that she used to sleep with. So back in Guatemala, so in these villages, if they find you sleeping with a married man, you get stoned to death. Still to this day, they still stone you to death. It's law. It's culture. So they stoned her to death. My mom went crazy, started speaking to the other side, braided her hair, etc. She went a little schizo, but she fucked with magic, and I think the realm of having a curandera or going to a these places to get love rituals, love ties to your on your fellow paramour is that completely real, or is that just you manifesting it, or you doing some own ritual yourself? So everybody would be technically what I'm trying to come at is would everybody be a little bit of a magician? Somebody's just giving you or pushing you through the door.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, stuff like that. I think a lot of it is more of kind of like setting yourself up mentally to try to get yourself to where you want to get.
Mhm.
There might be, I do think there's also quite possible things behind that too, like legit magic or influence. But stuff like that, though, I do think is actually like not good. I mean, because like just take a love spell. I mean, if you really think about that, you're just trying to get somebody like, how do I even equate this? Some people, when they want to debate things,
Mhm.
I mean, listen, if you don't like my shit, just shut it the fuck off and keep moving. But like when people want to debate something, like that is so magical because literally all you are doing is you're gonna make sounds out of your mouth to get somebody to one of these people want the other one to believe what they believe. That's all it comes down to. Is that you want the other motherfucker to think and act like you, so you're gonna spew out sounds until the fucking person does, or they give up. Same thing with like a love thing. You're basically just gonna, act differently and hope that you can manipulate this person to fall in love with you, probably. Like it's just very, it's in my opinion, it's all black magic, shit like that. Because you're going against people.
That's
Well, you're trying to manipulate.
people's wells.
I mean, even think about how much conversations are done to get somebody to do what you want. Almost all our conversations are really just to get somebody else to act the way you want them to do.
That is freaking insane.
Like if you really think about it, just being able to talk is a magical act because we're just bending people to our will every time we have a conversation.
That makes a lot of sense.
I
You
mean,
know why?
unfortunately, I'll even say what I'm doing is teetering on that shit because I'm putting out my ideas and people are taking it on.
Just absorbing it. Just
Yeah,
absorbing
it's like a double-edged sword, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, we do a lot of nice things just to get people to think certain ways about us. It's all magic.
Before you realize, you told me in the past conversation, you said you cross the abyss and you feel this tremendous amount of love.
Yes.
And the moment you think of yourself, it breaks. You break the trance. You pull back. During have you ever had an experience that you've been attacked? Has it ever gotten dark?
No, see, that's the one thing that fortunately I can say I have never had anything. Again, when I looked through that window and I looked at that image, to me, like again, like for a second in I guess my mind, I did think like that does look like it could be a nuclear fallout. And like, is that the future or the past? You know what I'm saying? So like for me thinking that might have been visions of the future, I was like, that's not fun to think about. And but eventually I woke up. But I mean, that looking in and seeing that image and actually tell you the truth, for the most part, I really, like I said, I never really paid those images that much mind. But like that time when I looked at that one, like it just hit me more that there's all these things on the side now showing me different times and places. Like, what the fuck's up with that? Where that did weird me out because I was like, I if there's the option to actually know the past and the future, it's a scary option to be handed. Because like, what if one day I decide to actually try that out and find out something I don't want to find out?
Holy fuck. At this point, you would be. How does destiny come to play like that though? Like if you see something that you didn't want to find out, and then kind of like Anakin Skywalker, he's like, he saw something he didn't want to find out, and then he tried to prevent it. Then he turns out to be the reason why it happened.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sorry for all the people that are Trekkies out there. Fuck those Trekkies. Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, and if I'm cursing, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm cursing. I'm supposed to be shutting down the curses. Anyway, still, the point is, what about tools, bro? A little bit of like, how do you check the tiers on this? You told me, and I'm gonna get a little personal with you. Hopefully, you're okay with that.
Yeah.
You said that you've had experiences with the occult. What level would you rank yourself, or how do you do the rankings, the tiers?
Oh, that was actually yeah, that's right. That was another one of the questions that you wanted me to. That's actually an interesting question. Well, for one, I think when it comes to occult understanding, like actual magic and the experiences, I'd probably consider myself very low. I'm just somebody who's had the experiences and trying to figure out what the experience was. Levels of enlightenment, believe it or not, I can see how maybe myself has experienced that when I start understanding the occult in different areas that I've never noticed. Like this may not count, but like I could say like maybe again, even back in the day, when there was like actual real occultists and alchemists, and they admitted that they were all like basically polymaths, and they looked at everything in like 7 different ways. Music is one of them, science, physiology, all that stuff. Art, music, if I already said that. I think like once you start understanding and maybe seeing it like in one of those, it kind of broadens your understanding and your occult knowledge. And then let's say like you started noticing it in music and kind of got an idea. And then like for me, going into physiology and starting to seeing it plain as day in the eyes and the brain, maybe that could be like another stage of enlightenment because now you're understanding occultism in a different way. And then I also think there's probably stages of enlightenment. Like let's say I was to choose one of those windows. You know what I'm saying? That is a new experience that I have never had before, and it's probably going to come with new knowledge.
This is kind of like it's a bit, so it's not
I
very
even
clear.
think
It's murky.
I even think the more you do it, you will also get that. Because every time, like again, every time I have a magical experience, I will come back with understanding something I didn't before. So I mean, even in the sense that's an enlightenment. So every time you mess with magic, you technically kind of, in my opinion, will.
In talking out of the experience of just Nick, what have you been? How have you benefited out of the experiences you've currently had?
Well, I know how to do like, I mean, some people may not consider it much, but I mean, I do understand how to like do video and audio and podcasting and all that. I had zero fucking understanding of that at all when I got into it. Um, I mean, what have I benefited out of it? Tell you the truth, what I have really used it for since I've had those experiences has actually been for the podcast, for me to be able to not promote, produce more work and more detailed work. I purposely used it during the Scarlet Horse series because I wanted to be able to cover the topic better. And if you just had a magical experience, it might be a little bit easier because a lot of things will still be going through your head or kind of like left of visions or ideas that might pertain to it. It will definitely, it's like putting a supercharged battery. So I mean, doing the work, I could have been fucking sitting in a chair for 8 hours straight working on the show and not even notice. Like it definitely helped with my intros. Every episode in that series had like a long intro that was very deeply occulted and was actually, very symbolic to even the episode itself or the idea of the Scarlet Whore. Most people probably don't get it, but I mean, yeah, that me fucking with magic actually helps me do a lot. The podcast at certain
It
times.
helps you. It gives you stamina. It gives you mental clarity.
Yes,
It
focus.
shortens out the day. It focuses, hyper focuses, tunnel vision into a goal to get you. It gets you across the finish line. It's a micro dose of a physical feeling of what, and people might not understand this because not everybody's a fucking tweaker, but it's almost as if you took a fucking rock through to the nose and you had to go to work for 48 hours without sleeping or eating. Oh, tweaked out on magic, bro. How about that, bro?
No, but I mean, this is why I also think I'm just gonna keep it real.
Mm.
Why I do think a lot of famous people are occultists because due to magic, they have found something to give them a feeling close to a magical experience, and they decided to be very good at it and obsessed with it,
Ah,
keep doing it. I do think a lot of people that are into the occult that are, a lot of people, I guess, music or whatever, all that shit. I think, if they're occultists, that's really probably the main reason they're actually even playing or doing anything that they're doing.
let me ask you something, bro. Is this genetic? Does everybody have access to this?
I do think part of it's genetic, but I think everybody does have access to it. That's my opinion. I mean, I do think, if you're probably, there's definitely something up with the blood, put it that way. I do think, maybe certain lines that aren't as, I guess, mixed might work better. I do think that's a possibility.
Insane.
Yeah, but I definitely think there's something up with the DNA and the blood. I mean, our DNA stores every relative prior to us too.
Has the not only the energy, the essence, characteristics, habits, memories, traumas, even that your body went through. Some of your grandparents might have scars, and you might have those scars, birthmarks, etc., etc. It's probably the most advanced memory technology out there, which is why we're obsessed with wanting to hacking DNA. You know what? If I would have seen you choke again, I would be like, dude, don't choke, swallow.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated with your occult. I'm fascinated with your experiences, bro. Tell me a little bit more about that experience you told me, bro. Pick it up right where you left off, man.
Oh, do you remember where? Where was I starting? I know I went. Was I covering the visuals now? I can't
You were
actually.
covering the visuals, all the windows.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So you have all those windows going across. Again, I don't know if you've noticed them, probably maybe by now. That one logo that I have that Mario made for me. I don't know if you actually saw the eclipse and the actual stuff that he. So yeah, I do have that, and that is a pretty decent, pretty no, actually, I shouldn't say decent, a really good depiction. But yeah, so that starts coming out, and then eventually they do stop, and then you have that black sphere on top of, in front of the white sphere, making the eclipse. Then all of a sudden, not like the moon, how it normally waxes and wanes back and forth. Well, I guess depending where you are, I have noticed in North Carolina, it's kind of like on an angle. It doesn't actually go back and forth the way it wanes. But normally how that would happen, or a regular eclipse, it starts lifting up like that, but really slow. Like you start seeing the black moving up. The crazy thing is that when it starts moving up a little bit, it looks just like the headdress on top of Toth's head, where it looks like people think it's the crescent moon and then the sun. It looks just like that glowing white part and the black sphere moving up. It looked just like the same shit to me. And it starts going up like really slow. And then all of a sudden it will kind of like separate from the white and start going up. Now, again, this whole time I'm always pressing on my pineal gland. That was the whole thing too. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the first one. I'm holding my pineal gland, pressing it. Now all of a sudden all I see is just that white orb. And then as I'm pressing, it all of a sudden feels like something snaps, and then like I see the white orb just fly. Like I've said before, it's like looking down the barrel of a gun and pulling the trigger. It's like, and like I literally, you feel something. Like it almost feels like, that's why I think, crazy as it sounds, this might be like a switch of polarity or something. That's the only thing that can make sense, or magnetism, is that my pushing somehow flung back at me.
Oh crap.
Which I have wondered if something is up with that, with the archer symbolism. Tell you the
The
truth.
archer, the
Yeah.
archer shooting himself.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I have. They even say that's the hardest thing to do is to let go. Like there's some old text about that. Like maybe that's the hardest thing to. But I've even seen David Bowie depict himself as the archer, but shooting himself in the head. I mean, he was an occultist. And I have even said, literally like the archer shooting himself in the head. You're pushing forward, you're pulling that thing all the way back, and then somehow it lets go, and now it flies back and hits you in the head. It's very bold. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's funny
It's
how
insane,
David
dude.
Bowie was using the bow. Yeah.
I'm gonna look up that image right now, bro.
He's like this. It's like you could tell he's like holding something. Like his hands are like showing that he's holding the archer. Definitely.
The symbolism is there. Symbolism is extremely important, bro, for the people that know.
Yeah, it was like that. But yeah, so like I had said, it feels like something flies back and hits me in the head. And then at that point, like that's when all the stuff is like rushing up, and then it feels like it's going out the back of my head, and it's like a flash of white light. And then like as the vision starts to appear, like of wherever I am or whatever I'm seeing now, that's like I also start feeling like all the melting and shit coming off.
David Bowie. So I'm looking it up right now, and the lighting. It's interesting how he's holding it up, because he's holding up, I think it's a mic, but the light, it's not shooting outwards. It's shooting his face. Oh, I see I see your vision now, bro. That's insane. Look at that. The Archer.
Do you ever watch Apocalypse Now?
No.
Oh,
It's
that's
against my religion to watch TV.
at the end, for anybody who ever watched it, when the guy from The Godfather, I forgot his name, he's like the main guy that they're after. He's talking about like getting shot in the head with a diamond, and I think he's actually talking about the same thing.
This is the thing. The terminology is freaking weird, because you also said it feels like I'm skywalking behind of a spider.
Oh
And
no, I said I'm skywalking. I'm skywalking right in the back of a golden white tarantula.
damn, what the fuck, dude? Who would say shit like that?
The cultists would.
That's freaking crazy, bro.
Yeah,
That's
and
insane.
you're the even reason I even said it was like, no, I'm skywalking on the back of a white gold tarantula, setting the clouds on fire. And again, like when I say the gold white tarantula, to me, that's me riding up the optic nerve now, where it turns from sun to electricity, and it does kind of look like a spider if you kind of like go in there. And as you start getting up into the brain, there is an arachnoid layer, which does look like spider webs. So, so I went with saying that and setting the clouds on fire is when I'm talking about the explosions around the eclipse. It looks like clouds bursting. So I mean, all that, and then I said something about then I watched the roses burst, bloom under the moon. That's like another part of the phrase. I may not have said the whole thing on your show, and that's again me talking about the roses bursting around the eclipse. It's all just weird artistic ways of me talking about visions that I've seen, and biology in there too. Like even I swear to, I don't know if you've seen me do it. A lot of times I throw up a hand signs now, and it's legit occult symbology. I'm literally showing you my eyes pinned and one big. That's all I'm doing with that symbol.
I have a question. This is funny. It's funny. It's funny
I think I like
because it
throwing up
might
like
just be true.
ICP shit or some silly shit, and it's like literally I'm showing you one eye pinned and one eye open.
That is interesting. So let me ask you something. Okay, does this add on to the idea of to the whole thing that people are talking about karmic retribution? So if you tell me what you are and what you are doing and what you're about, it's easier for you to do it and get your point across. Not only get your point across, but become successful at what you want.
Well, I honestly, I do it. It hasn't worked too well. I do it in hopes that people will actually ask what the fuck I'm doing. Same thing with my art, but nobody seems to be asking. I guess either everybody assumes or they just think it looks cool and don't even care. But it was something where I would get hopes, like maybe on social media when I post some of these things, people would be like, "Oh, like what's that mean?" Nobody yet, but I'm hoping one day.
You keep striving. I'm gonna tell you something. I told. Go ahead, bro.
Real quick, when I told you I did that Scarlet Horse series and I did those intros,
I was about to ask you about that. Yeah,
I actually did a show. It's up. It's old. I actually did a show explaining what every fucking intro was about because I was like, nobody got it, I guess.
Maybe the level of knowledge that you're dropping, it's ahead of its fucking time. And that has to do a lot with, and you wouldn't be the first person doing this today. If you noticed, everybody's behind. And I'm not saying us as creators. I'm saying everybody wants to be somebody by copying somebody else. It's not necessarily people putting out the new shit, new content. It's all Chinese copy shit. That's all it is. All right, bro? And the way, even when I started the show 4 years ago, I started talking about old school theories. I did the deep dives on old school theories. And you know how I would present that information? By listening to other podcasters talk about the information. It wasn't necessarily me. And I'm being completely honest here, brutally honest. It wasn't necessarily me doing at least 2 pages of Google research until I got called out on it. Until somebody started saying, you know what, Angel? It sounds like, dude, you copied the same show from tinfoil or like stuff like that. And I was like, oh, shit. If I really ever want this to fucking blow up, I can't get caught doing fucking stupid kid games. I need to get original somehow, some way. I just had a conversation with a fellow colleague, and he was too busy. And I look up to this guy because this guy sets the bar in many areas. You know what? I'm going to call him out. Fuck it. Catalyst Jones sent me a text earlier 2 days ago, and he told me, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about this. I feel like I'm clogged up and I'm deflated. I'm like, fuck that shit. You care. The moment you stop comparing yourself, and that's another thing that social media really does to each other. They're comparing. When you start comparing to each other, you break your chain of your own magic, your own creativity level. They either starts working in the favor of your enemies and your opposites, not necessarily you. You start looking at yourself in a fucking mirror, cracked, and that's when your money gets cracked. Your power, your thoughts, your passion, your hunger gets cracked, and then you become weak.
I think social media is horrible. The internet is horrible to make you doubt yourself or lust other things, other images that you see, like somebody else.
And most of them are occultic.
Or to tell you the truth, you could actually be duped by somebody that's not really like that, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're something that's fake or like a troll. I know what you're getting at, but like my opinion, people do use social media to view who they should be or what they want. Like it dictates like how, I should be doing this instead because I saw this motherfucker in Zimbabwe doing that.
Yes.
But 20 years ago, doing no technology, that never would be a thought on your mind, and you'd probably be reading a book or learning something or out playing in the fucking street with your friends. Now you're worried about imitating who the fuck you see on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's serious. I have thought about that before, obviously, as you can see, that it's actually like really fucked up.
The originality I think it's dying out. Your energy the information you're putting out. This is why I had you back on the show. I was like, no one is talking about this. No one's talking about the arachnid skywalking fool. No one's saying this shit. No one's bringing out the eclipse with the spider and the checkered floor. All the freaking visions, the out of body experience. And I've spoken with a couple of people before, and like I fucking care. I can care less about if people listen, or I can care less if people are actually following or we're pollinizing other areas of different shows. I care about me learning, having inner peace, and then bringing forth information that not everybody else is consuming. You know, for the people that who the fuck would say that shit? They're gonna go and check out the show. You're gonna be like, damn, this guy's on a different level, studying, and just like how there's cults and different doctrines for the Bible and different areas of the world, this is one of them. It's a vision into someone's head, into someone's experiences, somewhere maybe you could start connecting with it, or just dive deep into a little research, and you might find a couple of spiders you could skywalk yourself.
Yeah. There's even plenty of things that it's just we just actually even just cover informative stuff that's not even really too much of our opinion. It's just letting people know what's out there, what other occultists in the 15 and 1600s were doing. There's it's just weird when you start looking at like that far ago, 15 and 1600s, and seeing how in some areas it actually seemed more advanced than we are now. It's like, how did that make sense? How is a dude drawing the eyeball better than I can like find, pictures of now and real? It's like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah.
So we try to point at stuff like that where it's just like, look at what occultists were doing back then. Not promoting them. It's just like there's something weird there, and they seem to be more advanced than fucking people are now. And they didn't have fucking iPhones then. They didn't have the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we're always like, oh, we got all this information in our hands, but we had people back then without this technology that seemed much more fucking smarter than we are now.
Oh no, they were in many different areas. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's 100% truth. Oh God.
I think the internet is here to dupe us, actually.
That's interesting, bro. Because everybody sees it as a saver, as a hope.
Oh no, you can definitely use it for good. I mean, that's what we're doing. But there's a lot of garbage out there. I mean, it's even known. If you were to play Google it now, I think 53% of the internet's actually considered bots.
Oh yeah, the dead end theory. That's so I've touched. I've touched in that episode. I've touched on that stuff on what was it, Legit Bat, and we were talking about like, dog, forget the fact that people would pay for followers or engagement. Forget that. But there's people now using AI, and I said this shit on Legit Bat. JB from Renegade Family of Light, I've had him countless times on the show. Motherfucker started this company on AI dancing TikTok girls, making money, moving on up. And I'm like, dude, he goes, you know those girls that they followed you recently on TikTok? I was like, my dead ass TikTok, because I lost 4 accounts. Like, you fucking gave up on TikTok, right? He goes, yeah. I'm sorry?
I hardly ever check TikTok too.
Yeah, fucking TikTok, man. It's a stupid world. It's a world I'll never be able to dominate. He goes, you know those girls that followed you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, they're bots. Shut the front door. I'm like, they're fine as hell, dude. They're bots. And I go back and you start seeing, he goes, look at her face. I'm like, you're right, dog. They're freaking bots. So I'm like, dude, I remember an age where, okay, now you're going to have AI generated animated bots that you're gonna fucking wank to, you're gonna jack off to. I remember when I was a kid, bro, I would freaking look at Sailor Moon and then go back as a 12 or 11-year-old kid, just photographic memory and just pull one out. Now you have, it facilitates pornography to kids, bro. It's, again, internet.
Like, all they did was a little airbrushing back then. Now it's completely fake.
Fuck, dude. The worlds have, I don't know, bro. Like, I can't keep up with it. I'm in shock, And it's that's all it is. It's they rob you from your attention and your creativity, bro, and you let it all down the drain, literally.
Have you watched any stuff on YouTube about the dead end internet or whatever that is, or the dead internet theory?
The dead internet theory? No, I've heard other podcasters talk.
There was one guy, this was fucking bizarre. Not to change the subject, but it is fucking weird. And listen, I'm sure this is probably the same with liberal accounts, but this guy just happened to be watching like a MAGA people supposedly argue. And he went and like looked at the account and he was just like, he seemed weird. And then like he looked the people up like online, and like you did find some stuff about them, and he started like looking at the few posts that were online or any photos of them, and like he noticed that like one of them like was like this bookshelf behind them, and then like he just started to blow it up. First off, none of the books had actual fucking name on them. Then you start noticing in the pictures that he has behind them, everybody's face is fucking distorted and screwed up. It was fucking
Uh-oh.
AI, dude. You literally had a MAGA AI account arguing, like
You know
radically
what?
arguing on the internet.
I believe it. I'm look.
No, and I'm sure the left does the same thing. But what I'm saying is, like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just wondering, is some of that shit actually fake, and it gets a couple of people to go along with it?
I have to be 100% honest, bro. I've always fucking thought, how the
I've thought
fuck
that
do
some of
they
the
have
ones
a
that
million
spaz
followers?
out, I was like, yo, a human can't really be acting like that.
Yeah. I'm sure that if the left used it to a certain extent, the right, we had to use it to adapt and then made it our own and attacked it even worse. Because if Kamala Harris was putting it on mainstream media, just imagine what we did.
Oh, it's probably the left doing it, making it look like the right, so they can say they're fucking, they're Nazis and they're fucking, flying off the hook. It's probably not even the same side doing it. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Or it's
insane,
just
dude.
trolls.
It's a bunch of trolls, bunch of bots. This Have you ever had an experience, an out of body experience where you lusted blood? This is why I want to get a little darker.
No, 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 not at
Nothing
all.
to do with sacrifice, nothing to do with
No,
darker
no,
stuff.
no. I will say though that I mean there was times when where I just was when I came back, I guess the first time kind of hit me hard to an extent to where like I wasn't thinking bad thoughts, but it was just like I guess I was like kind of bummed out because I was like I feel like I've been lied to for like so much shit that I guess it did seem like shitty for a few days. I don't know how to put it.
Does it give you like withdrawals? Like when like dopamine withdrawals? Withdrawals to get back into the trance?
Um, I will say like I don't know if it's withdrawals, but again, one of the reasons why I stopped doing it was because when I was doing it a bunch, it did seem to make the want to do it worse. I don't know if it's like an ego thing too, or it's just like, yo, like what I'm doing, look what I'm getting away with. Look what I keep coming back and getting benefits from it. Then you have to start wondering like you're doing it for the wrong reason. You know what I'm saying? So
You gotta catch yourself
yeah,
slipping.
so that's why I was like, yeah, I think I should pump the brakes on this.
Holy fuck, look at that. And that's what many people don't have, the self-control.
Oh
Because
yeah, no, I
that's
actually used to say that a lot when I first started the podcast. I stopped doing it because I do think I think anybody could easily persuade to, even if I didn't use it to manipulate people, make money off of it, or just lie or whatever, or make propaganda. There's other ways you could still abuse it. My opinion.
let me ask you something. Do you know anybody at the top doing it?
Oh, for a fact? No, not for a fact, but there are. There are people that I do believe are. And I'm not going to get into who, but like I did one time. It's funny you mentioned threats. I did one time make a claim that I thought somebody big enough was, and behind the paywall, they did actually threaten my life.
Behind the paywall. So
Yeah.
they paid to get in to tell you some stuff.
Well, no. Somebody had gave me their account so I could log in and actually watch this shit, and they were saying so and so just threatened you. Like they said I was going to end up like Matthew North. So that was basically a
Who the
threat.
fuck is
It
Matthew
was
North, bro?
some kid that was in the podcast in the community that I don't believe he's dead.
Mhm.
Supposedly he's dead. Some people say he suicided himself. And I was told that I was going to end up like him because I'm such a miserable motherfucker. But a lot of people think he might have been killed. So, in my opinion, I was just like threatened my life by that
Oh
remark.
yeah, can't fuck around no more. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you.
So, yeah. That was the one I did get threatened that way. But, yeah, and it was, by someone that's well admired.
Mhm. That's
Usually.
insane, bro.
Yeah.
That's insane. Tell me right before we come to an end of this episode, what's next? First of all, what the hell is a skull and horse, bro?
Say that again?
Briefly, what the hell is a skull and horse? What is that?
Skull and horse?
You told me you did a series called Skull and Horse. on your show.
Scarlet Whore.
Golden, sorry.
Scarlet Whore, yeah.
Scarlet Whore. I was like,
Yeah, the
shit.
Scarlet Whore. Yeah, I mean that's many different things. I think it's archetype where you're trying to explain maybe a difference in change, even physically. I think there's certain things part of the body that represents the Scarlet Whore. You know, like I would say, like when you start going up into your optic nerve and going back into your brain, my opinion, that's when you're fucking the bitch.
Whoa. Go back. I knew I was gonna dig to something. What the fuck
No, and the
did you
crazy
just
thing
say?
is that the optic nerve actually looks like a flaccid dick hanging in the back of your eyeball, and there's the vitreous nerves and the retinas. I think something with the retinas go up in there,
Uh-huh.
and it starts turning into electricity when it hits your brain. Well, like in my opinion, in magic, you have to go back up, and now you're going back up in there.
I gotta look up that
fuck that
plastic
bitch till you ride the lightning, bro.
I gotta look at that plastic dick in your eyeball, bro. All
Hey, the
right,
weird
man.
thing is like you're basically going back up your urethra, technically. You want to get really
Technically, yeah, it's fucking crazy, dude.
No,
Where
and the
can people
crazy thing
find you?
is like you even want to just say it real quick too. Right there, there's a flash of light. Again, when you give birth, you're using your dick. There's a flash of light when that shit gets in there. It's kind of interesting. Again, you come in this world with a flash of light, and you fucking practice magic going out in a flash of light.
That's fucking crazy. It's true. The sperm breaks through the wall of the egg, right? And then there's
It's
like a
zinc
freaking
thing. From
zinc.
I think, like that. Yeah.
Oh shit! Look at that. And even that looks like a freaking eclipse when you look at it from an image.
And you know what the crazy thing about that too is that egg is sending out almost like a magnet to like it sends out a signal, and that's why that one sperm gets in. It literally is only picking one of them too. It's sending out a signal for one of those sperms to fucking get to make it in. So it's even like pulling you. Come on, you're gonna be duped. Come on.
Wait. So it's the egg that causes. I've heard this freaking theory before. It's the
That's
egg
what
that
you get.
causes sperm.
And I've always said that I always do think it comes down to electricity and magnetism, and you have the egg pulling the sperm to you, and then you have a flash of light, just like electricity.
Who controls that? What controls that?
I don't know.
It's okay to say I don't know. I mean, shit.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, some people would say like there would never be any form without the feminine energy. It would be just complete chaos.
That's fact. Yeah. Oh,
So I mean, but you have to also say like the sperm wouldn't go to the egg if it wasn't for like if you want to look at projective and receptive, male and female. The egg obviously is the female, and it's pulling the light towards it. You could say that's the problem to begin with, but I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to go that way and say that.
Yeah. If that's the case, once it pulls in that one sperm, it will have to shell itself and lock before anybody else comes in through that little opening, right? Through a slight window. That's insane, dude. And I think it's a complete miracle that we're all here. There's more possibility. And I always thought this. I thought it. Now I'm fucking confused. I thought that there was always not a higher percentage of you not making it into the egg, of never being born, than actually being born. So it actually is a blessing that you're here today because you were picked by that egg, man. It's magical. Fucking A. Where can people find you, dog? Let them know one more time.
The Occult Rejects, that is on BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube, and it is on all major podcasts. And we have occultresearchinstitute.org. And again, there's a whole bunch of just interesting topics, a bunch of different contributors. There's just basic stuff on books, grimoires, manuscripts, occultists from the past, alchemists, people even in the church. Tons of weird different things to learn about on there. So check it out.
Insane. And this is why it's called the Occult Rejects Podcast. Make sure you check them out. Drop a 5-star review for Nick. And shout outs to Headless Giant, obviously Teresa up in Canada. Mad love to you guys from she's from Spiritual Gangsters. Mad shout outs to that podcast too. Check her out on YouTube, guys. And drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Thank you, Nick.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Right on the money.